we're not here to tell you that if you're going to start the process of selling your house or buying a house, that it's going to be like easy peasy. Like, it's not. That's why you get guidance. The people who have really stayed in that right mindset during it are the ones who are in those houses, and the ones who have not, they aren't.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything does happen for a reason. And again, another cliche statement, but it does.
True. Cliches are annoying, but they're true.
Welcome back to another episode. We're here, and what are we talking about today?
Property mindset?
Yeah.
Proper
Stress, something that everybody has.
Yeah.
You might not have a house right now, but I bet you do have stress. No, so we're gonna get into talking about having a proper mindset. This isn't gonna be some like kumbaya, like meditative.
It is, or it's
wellness.
not.
It's not gonna be some boring like wellness thing you've heard 8 million times on 8 million other podcasts, but there is some validity to it. But I want to be able to relate to how important it is in the real estate process to have the right mindset. I mean, It's important in life, obviously. Believe it and you will achieve it.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
Wow. And other cliche statements.
Hey, I always say this. All cliches are annoying, but they're true.
Yeah.
That's why they're cliches.
Yeah, but when you're like in the middle of being pissed off, it's not something you really want to hear.
I know, but after you calm down, Muskie, then you let the truth sink in.
Yeah, maybe that's just me. But no, so this topic came to mind when I was actually I had a note in my phone that I wrote after a shower one time, just like going off on how like just frustrated I was with the market, you know, like my buyers putting out in like great offers, like they were really strong.
Offers. Yeah,
they were strong offers. They were very competitive, but at the time, it's like they just kept getting beat out by people who were being so irresponsible in their offers. And like, listen, I will be as competitive as humanly possible, and I am not afraid to go there, but I'm going to do it responsibly, and I'm going to make sure that like any offers I'm putting out are going to be safe for the people financially and otherwise. So, you know, being as competitive as humanly possible without being completely, totally irresponsible. And we just kept getting shot down, and I'm like, oh, I was so frustrated. And I was like, listen, the only people who are going to make it in this market are the ones who are going to not get discouraged and learn something from it and keep going.
What's the hardest client you've dealt with? Who was the person you...
Define hard.
No, in terms of like... Yeah, define hard. No, in terms of like how many offers did you fire out? What was the most frustrating? Like I've had people on the phone with me, like just... You know, I've had like a wife who's been upset, and like the husband being like, what do I have to write on this agreement to sale to get the property? I mean,
and listen, if that's the mindset of the person of like, what do I have to do? Like, listen, that's all you're already going to win.
That comes from like a place of like, I thought that was completely doable. Like I thought that would get it done, but like, what do I have to write on the agreement of sale to get it done? You know, that kind of thing.
And a lot of times people have to like, you have to get rejections enough of them to be able to learn what you need to apply for the next one. Yeah. But, you know, no, what I just really want to get into talking about is, you know, well, obviously, like, what is mindset? I think everybody knows that, obviously, but, and how it relates to real estate, and how the strongest survive and why, and how to, you know, I'm going to be very, like, obviously honest, like, frustration comes along with this, stress comes along with this. It's easy to get discouraged, but like how to not, and how to like rechannel that, because you know, there's obviously been plenty of studies that go into how stress impacts all of your outcomes, and you know, again, like I said, just tie that into this. So.
Yeah, well, it's really like your attitude, and I think we do a lot of realtors have a real responsibility to set expectations, because a lot of people will get into this and they think they put in a strong offer. You know, I always tell my people, you might have to get a couple rejected offers, you know, in order
to all part of the process too. I mean, you also can't go into this process just saying like, oh, my first one or first two or even first three, like it's not even saying anything about like you not being a good enough buyer, it not being a good enough offer. You know, sometimes it is just like the needs of sellers versus buyers just don't match.
Yep.
We always try to find out what those are so that they can match, but sometimes it's just not the right fit. And we talked about that in a previous episode of the ones that don't work out, they don't work out so that the one that should does. And
are you saying everything happens for a reason?
Everything does happen for a reason. And again, another cliche statement. But it does.
True. It's true.
Everything does happen for a reason. And, sometimes you might not know, how it's going to get there. It's just a matter of training your brain to be able to say, I don't know how, but it's going to.
Yeah.
I'm living, breathing, functional example of that.
Yeah, well,
I think housing or not.
And realtors can also give perspective to that to clients because, we deal with this all day, every day. And it's like, I had someone just, I tell my clients all the time, I had someone just like you. They felt like they were defeated. They felt like they weren't going to get the house that they wanted. And then here we go. I make a really great phone call a week and a half later, to that person. So being able to keep a proper mindset about this, first of all, it's true. It's going to allow you to kind of push through all the noise and all the rejection that you could potentially face. At the timing of this recording, it's still really competitive in Philadelphia. There are areas across the country that are not as competitive. There's places where it's actually hard to sell a house. That's not here. But, the last 3 years of going through this process, we have seen a lot of buyers. They've pushed through some serious shit. A lot of offers, a lot of running around, calling, leaving work early, going to see a house, going back to an open house to see it, bringing inspectors in for our showings, a lot of stuff. But we have a whole host now of clients that are super happy in the houses that they found. And that's...
ones that are the ones that kept the right train of thought.
Yeah, that's right.
Actually, and like I said, as we get through this, we're going to talk more about kind of what that train of thought looks like and how to kind of overcome what your natural reaction might be.
Yeah.
But the people who have really stayed in that right mindset during it are the ones who are in those houses, and the ones who have not, they aren't. And we have some. And again, we're going to talk about those too. So, we're going to jump in. Talk about the feelings and emotions that go along with it. So like I had started to lead off and say, we're not here to tell you that if you're going to start the process of selling your house or buying a house, that it's going to be easy peasy. It's not. That's why you get guidance. That's why you get something to advise you through this process. And we're here to tell you, there are going to be times where we're going to hold your hand and say, it will be okay. When you feel like it's very stressful and it's not.
Yes.
But just that we've been there, we see it, we see it on a regular basis. We see the people get to the finish line, but the people who get to the finish line are going to be the ones who are going to listen to what we have to say and trust the process and know that you can't always be in control of every moving piece.
And I would also say that they are at the right finish line because they've listened to us.
Yeah.
Because you can get into a house very quickly, but if it's an irrational decision, you've there are some people who will say, just waive everything and throw a bunch of money at it.
Right, like I said, that's why I do things responsibly. Fine, reject my offer. That's I'm fine with losing out on an offer if that means that the way to get it is to be completely irresponsible. Cool, thanks. I'm not that guy.
Yeah. And even when it's not a really competitive market, there are certain things I won't do, let people waive stucco inspections and that kind of stuff. There's stuff where there's limits where it becomes reckless.
Right.
And that's just not who we are. And most realtors are not that way. So,
but yeah, to go back to kind of the mindset though of what's going to happen. So you're getting ready to sell your house. It takes a lot. It's mentally, physically exhausting. You're still working. You might have kids that you're having to take care of on a regular basis. You also have showings that are coming in, and there's a whole process for that we set you up for. But as you go on, it takes a mental toll. When you're a buyer and you're out and you're putting out offers and they keep getting rejected, you might want to throw in the towel. But I have so many. When I was preparing for this episode, I went through my text messages and I just typed in the search in my messages mindset, because I know I have said this to so many of my clients. And I'm I know I was I got to see how many people I've had this conversation with, and I've had it with probably every set of buyers that I've had. And just say, anytime we'd have a reject offer, it's listen, I know how it feels. I know that you're excited for it, but, keep the right mindset to keep going, and that these are all going to happen. Now, where it's going to go wrong and where rejection is going to be bad is if you're not taking something from it. So, you know, you put out an offer, if you have a good agent, you find out why it got rejected. You talk about it. Then we have the conversations. If you take everything with kind of like a growth mindset of, okay, how can I learn from this instead and apply it to the next one? If you're doing that, you're going to end up on top and you're going to end up with the house. But if you don't, you're not. It's just you can't make it in this market or really any market if you don't have a strong mindset of like, how can I make this better and how can I use this to learn from it?
Yeah. So yeah, the ones that are stuck in the muck, you know, they have to have this or they need this or, you know, they won't do this. Like those are the types of limiting beliefs that don't allow you to get the house that you need. So I mean, we have clients that have been sitting in our portals for. I have a client who's been sitting in a portal for 3 years, and I know he checked every other day. He checks that portal. I don't know what he's looking for. It ain't coming. And then he emailed me or he texted me like, I don't know, 3 months ago, and he's like, I think I'm priced out of the market. And I feel like writing to him like, bud, you were priced out of the market like a year and a half ago. Like mid-pandemic, you were priced out of the market because he won't go over a certain amount. And now the houses he like was liking 3 years ago that we saw in his portal, like they're not even there. Now he's seeing like tiny houses and like their shells and they're completely degraded. So he is now a perpetual renter. And so like that's an example of what you're talking about where it's like, listen, it may not be the absolute like perfect thing, but it is still a house that you can find happiness in. And this is the line I use with my clients, and I hate to say it's a line, it's not. That it's like happiness can be found
a line of truth.
A line of truth. It's not a cliche either. But is that happiness can be found in several homes. There's no like perfect house and then, you know, every other house after that is you're going to live a life of disappointment and destitution. Like people find happiness in multiple houses. And so that line I use because it just probably kind of puts it into perspective. Yes, we were really hot and heavy on this one. We really wanted this one, but we didn't get it. But there is, you know, this do not despair. There's still happiness to be found. Let's talk about sellers for a second.
Okay.
Because some of the most stressed out people I know are home sellers. Because we talk a lot about buyers, but
I can't even imagine having to like prepare my house to sell.
Yeah,
I look at things in my house that I can live with.
The idea of selling a house right now is like, yeah, it's priced right, it doesn't smell like a foot, and it's in a good location. It's probably going to sell, but damn, there's a lot to go into to getting it ready. The idea of having all these people walk through your house. Mm-hmm. Will you get the number you want?
That's uncertainty. Mm-hmm. It's like, listen, we're from the Philly area. We're Sixers fans. Trust the process.
No, but you're going to trust the process?
Yeah. Listen, I might not know what that process is. Dude, listen, I've applied this to life. I mean, real estate is just an example of where I keep seeing it all the time, but there have been way too many, more than I would have liked, experiences in my life and trenches that I've been in and situations of saying, how am I gonna get out of this? How am I gonna get through this? Can I do this? I don't know. Am I gonna do it? Yes, I'm going to. How? I don't know.
Yeah.
If anybody asks me now, like, oh, how did you even get to this point? Like, I just trusted a process.
Yep.
I believed that I would. You believe you will achieve.
Listen, you're making fun of all these cliches,
but it's true.
But they're true.
I
mean, yeah, and you know, people think they're sappy and everything like that, but they're really important. And yeah, whether you're buying or selling a house or you're just trying to like make it through life, it definitely is the same. You know, and I am not a life coach, Jen. I'm not a life coach.
Maybe one day I will be.
Well, I think we're all as a team leader. I certainly wear that hat sometimes, but no. But
hey, when representing people, we do have to wear that hat.
We do have to wear that hat.
We will be your life coach because sometimes that needs to happen. Like
psychiatrist,
true,
marriage counselor.
Well, what were you saying about sellers? So
yeah, sellers.
Sell your house.
Yeah, I mean the stress of selling your house is not. You know, buyers don't have a monopoly on stress in this market.
Well, I mean, if you're a seller, you're likely also a buyer too. So like you kind of got that double stress.
Yeah, but
that's a doubling. Give it to the next person.
Yeah, it is a doubling of stress because not only do you have to try to find a house, but you also have to, you know, you have to sell the house, and sometimes you need the money from the house. But we have all kinds of tools, guys, In fact, we just got off a call recently where we were able to kind of make that all go away with needing the money from your house in order to go buy another one. But no, I think it's an important thing to talk about because I think the stress and I think consumers are savvy. They understand what's going on. They understand that it's a big life decision, of course, and that I think it stops a lot of consumers from actually making the call in the first place. I think people get analysis paralysis.
Yeah, for sure.
Where we don't have access to talk to those people. We can't bust out our nice cliches and our.
I mean, we're just like like you have enough stress in your life.
You've totally moved on from the cliche.
Yeah, I'm just
just blowing past that.
Don't worry, I'm sure more will come out of my mouth hole. But no, but like to your point, like people who get analysis paralysis, like confused mind's gonna say no, and they're just gonna shut down the idea no matter how much they actually like need to move, probably. Yep. And they decide like no, because I can't. If I take on like one more stressful thing in my life, like, I'm gonna simply combust.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, then talk to us.
Yeah, I think that there's also something what I call the milestone mentality. I just need to get this, and then.
That is just a recipe.
I need to get through the holidays and then I will do this. Or I just need I just got to get through the wedding and then I can deal with this.
No, because then something else
Because something always comes up. And what that really is, when people say that to themselves, now listen, there's like big stuff that happens in people's lives, but when people say that to themselves, that is basically indicating a certain mindset of that there's just only so much bandwidth people feel that they can take on. But
or have some idea that like there's going to be the perfect time.
Yes, exactly, and it's just never.
By the way, no, there's not.
Yeah,
no, there's not.
No, I mean, listen, if things are super clean, you got a great job, and like no kids and no spouse, and you have all the options in the world, like that's different. But you start adding in kids and having a house to sell and a job and a spouse and everything, like the complications, like none of the stars ever align.
No, and life happens, so it's like. Dying to obviously where mindset comes into play is like life is always going to happen, and here's a cliche. It's not a matter of what happens; it's how you handle it.
There we go.
But yeah, and just knowing that like there's always gonna be something, but like you always want somebody in your corner anyway when those things happen. So just like now, kind of get into a segment of like how people that we have literally worked with. I am not naming names here.
Okay,
this also could be things that I have just observed otherwise. But like the people who, and I have called them out on it during the process and saying like, you have the right mindset, which is how I know this is going to happen.
Yep.
And they trusted that. They might not have like known or really believed it, but the ones who just did, and I have to remind you.
They have faith.
Then they come out on top. Yeah. Like I said, stress happens. Some people handle it better than others. But I looked up a study from Stanford that was having to do about stress, and there's a TED talk about it. We can put the link in the description, kind of like in the show notes. So just if you want to watch it on your own time about what this talks about, but paraphrasing here, basically said that they did a study on people with stress had higher risk of earlier deaths, but when they did a study on people who had stress but channeled it but didn't see it as negative stress and put a more of like a positive outlook on the same stress, there's like they showed no more risk of death.
Yeah, it's all about it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it.
Right.
And yeah, it's another cliche, but it's true. It's definitely true. And some people thrive off of the stress. They thrive off of all the action and everything like that. And
thriving in chaos.
Yeah, thriving in chaos, and that's a lot of what realtors do. But there's also the people who clam up. They get overwhelmed very easily, and it's important as realtors for us to understand, and it's important for you to understand who you are. Some people find home buying and home selling like super exciting. They want updates. They want to know what's going on. Some are like terrified.
Probably the majority. I would argue say the majority of people are the opposite.
Are the opposite? Yeah.
It is scary.
It is scary.
Yeah.
But we can help.
Yeah, of course we can.
Yeah.
And two, the study goes on to say too, and like the whole article goes on to say that the great thing about mindset is like, you know, maybe you are that person that doesn't handle stress as well and can crack under pressure. And, you know, like that happens and, you know, that's okay. But there is a way to retrain your mind. And, you know, then there are studies on studies on studies that just go to show that the way that your mind is and the way that you kind of direct your thoughts is a literal direct reflection of the outcomes that come from it.
So now when Jen, if you decide to hire Jen, she's going to put you through it to this TED Talk. She's going to have you watch it. No?
Get on your own time. If you want to do it, go ahead. I ain't going to like, I'm not going to Jeffrey Dahmer it and like put you in a room and say, watch it.
Watch it. Then call me.
Yeah, prerequisite.
Yeah, prerequisite.
I'm going to force you down to watch a TED Talk.
Okay. I'm going to give you a little bit of homework before you can actually talk to me.
I will encourage you, and I'm going to tell you, like, it's going to be a constant reminder through at least your journey with me is like, keep the right mindset.
That's right.
Like, keep going.
Yeah.
If you do, I like this whole. I mean, I kind of thought this episode would be longer on this, but I guess it really doesn't have to be.
No.
And just saying, like, I cannot say it enough, and you're probably so sick of me in the 20 minutes, however long it's been so far, of hearing it. But like, only the strongest are going to survive, and it's going to test you. And there will be times that you want to throw in the towel, and you're going to realize that, like, just trust not to. And those people are winning or have won.
Yep.
So honestly, I really thought I had more to say on it.
It's not that complicated.
Force it out.
It's a heavy topic, but it's not that complicated.
I mean, I am curious to know from like other people though. I mean, it doesn't have to it can be real estate related. It doesn't have to be real estate related. Like, I know that I have multiple personal scenarios in my mind that stand out of like times that I almost completely just like threw in the towel and was like, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. I don't know how. And what you ended up like pushing through where you almost gave up. What was your almost give up point?
Is this for real estate or anything?
Anything.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I would love everyone. Yeah, I would love real estate stories. Cool, but like I like hearing people's lives. I don't know. It fascinates me. I went to school for psychology. I am really fascinated on how the brain works, people's minds, and all this stuff. Yeah. But I'd love to know people's stories of like what was your almost give up moment and what made you keep going and what ended up happening. And
you mean failure way to the top?
Failure way to the top.
That's right.
What a way to say that.
Yeah. The most successful people are the biggest failures. You know that? Most successful people are the biggest failures. They failed the most because they've tried. Because
they learned.
They tried and they learned and they adapted and you know. But you talk to any CEO in the world, they're like, "Yeah, I failed a ton, and that's why I'm so successful." So that's still. I think I think we can leave everyone with that. All right. Sounds good.
Hope this was at least a little encouraging.
Yeah, without scaring the shit out of you as usual.
Boo.
No. See ya.
Bye.